What if the experiment never happened? What if the monster was never created inside a cold laboratory room designed to erase fear by creating something far worse? What if 11 was never reduced to a number? Never shaved, never locked behind glass, never taught that her only value was what she could do, not who she was? What if her childhood was never stolen in the name of science, progress, or control? In the world we know, Hawkins changes because of fear. Because pain is pushed too far. Because something innocent is forced to become dangerous. But in this world, Hawkins never realizes how close it came to destruction because the most important door in its history, the door that would have changed everything, is never opened. Jane Ives is born quietly. No observers behind glass. No men writing reports. No future decided before her first breath. Her mother, Terry, never enters the MKUltra program. She never volunteers. Never disappears into government silence. Jane grows up in a small house with ordinary sounds. Television static, dinner conversations, arguments that end in laughter. She is a strange child, but not a broken one. Different, but never alone. And that difference changes everything. Jane's abilities appear slowly, not through screams, not through pain, not through blood. When she's upset, the lights flicker. When she's scared, objects tremble. But no one tells her she's dangerous. Her mother teaches her to breathe, to sit with her emotions, to understand them instead of fighting them. Jane learns control through calm, not through fear. And because she is never taught to hate herself, her powers never become violent. Without Jane inside the lab, Hawkins' lab never goes far enough. There is no child to push, no mind to fracture, no terror strong enough to tear reality apart. The upside down still exists, but it remains sealed, silent, dormant. Hawkins stays normal, and no one ever realizes that the world was saved by something that never happened. Will Byers never disappears. He never runs through the woods at night, heart racing, breath shaking, feeling like something is always one step behind him. He never hears his name whispered in the dark, never feels cold hands reaching for him, never vanishes into a world that wants to keep him. Because of that, his childhood is allowed to continue. Will grows up quiet, but not broken. He's observant, thoughtful, sensitive in a way that notices things others miss. Instead of fear shaping his identity, curiosity does. Instead of survival instincts, he develops imagination. He spends hours drawing at his desk, losing himself in colors and lines, building worlds where danger exists. But only because he chooses it to. He writes stories filled with monsters, not because he's haunted by them, but because he wants to understand them. On paper, monsters can be explored, controlled, closed inside a notebook. Will grows up understanding emotion, learning to name it, to express it, to accept it. He never learns to fear who he is. And because of that, he never has to escape himself. Mike never learns what it feels like to lose someone overnight. He grows into leadership naturally. Not out of desperation, but curiosity. He still loves games, still loves stories, still believes in friendship. But he never carries the weight of saving the world as a child. He becomes thoughtful, strategic, a leader without scars. Dustin never loses innocence. His humor is never something he uses to survive. Never a shield to hide fear. Never a way to make pain feel smaller. He laughs because he wants to, not because silence scares him. His optimism is natural, unforced, untouched by trauma. Dustin grows confident in who he is, curious about everything, asking questions without fear of the answers, seeing the world as something to explore, not something to defend against. Science becomes a passion, a language he loves, not a tool he needs to stay alive. He experiments because he's fascinated, not because knowledge is the only thing standing between him and danger. He laughs loudly, talks endlessly, gets excited too easily. And for the first time in his life, he never feels the need to hide who he is. Lucas grows up trusting the world. He never learns to question everything unfamiliar, never has to choose between fear and loyalty. He becomes practical, grounded, protective. Not because he fought monsters, but because he learned responsibility early. Logic guides him. Empathy grounds him. He grows strong without ever becoming hard. Jane grows up too, not in hiding, not in fear, not in rooms designed to remind her that she is different. She never meets the boys, never becomes their miracle, never becomes their last hope when everything else fails. She is never asked to bleed for anyone, never told that the world depends on her pain. And because of that, she becomes something quieter, human. Jane grows up with mornings that feel normal, with routines that don't involve tests or needles, with choices that belong to her. Her powers never disappear, but they never define her. They're there in small moments. A glass gently sliding across a table, a light flickering when emotions run too deep, not as weapons, not as proof, just as part of who she is. Jane learns something no one ever taught 11, that her worth is not measured by what she can do for others. She learns that she doesn't exist to save the world. She exists to feel it, to love without fear, to fail without punishment, to grow without being watched. And for the first time in any version of this story, Jane is allowed to be ordinary. And that is the most extraordinary gift of all. Somewhere beneath Hawkins, far below streets that remain quiet, beneath houses where lights still turn off at night without fear, the Upside Down waits, not destroyed, not defeated, not even discovered. It exists in silence, a shadow behind reality held back not by heroes, but by a moment that never happened. Because destiny doesn't disappear when it's avoided. It doesn't vanish. It doesn't forgive. It waits for another moment, another weakness, another door left slightly open. But in this world, that door is never found. No alarms ever sound. No children are forced to grow up too fast. No one has to choose between survival and innocence. And the greatest irony of all, the heroes never know they were never tested. They never know how close the world came to becoming something darker. They live their lives believing this is how things were always meant to be. And sometimes, the happiest endings aren't the ones where the monster is defeated. They're the ones where the monster is never created at all.